Willie D live.
What's up, family? New critical development in the Nolan Wells case. Nolan's family has now proposed a specific window to finally conduct the joint forensic examination of Nolan's cell phone. I ain't got no problem with that, but some of y'all do, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. According to a letter from the family's legal team, they asked the Jackson County District Attorney's Office to select a time between Tuesday, August 18th and Friday, August 21st for the examination. Now, obviously, you know who Ben Crump is. Ben Crump is the lead attorney on this case that involves Nolan Wells, who turned up mysteriously dead on Horn Island on July 6th. Both sides would be present for this phone examination to have forensic experts present, and the arrangement could potentially include FBI participation. That matters because the phone has been a major point of contention for weeks. The family is now saying, in effect, the phone is available. Pick a time and examine it. I like this because this puts the next move squarely on the DA's office to either schedule the examination or explain what is preventing it. There's also another significant development today. The NAACP has joined the Wells family's legal team, adding another major national civil rights organization to the efforts, seeking answers and greater transparency in the investigation. Now that's big because the more eyes that are on this case, the better. The more legal experts that you got looking at this case and talking about this case, the better. You know, people that are in the legal field are very competitive. And, you know, they want people to know that they know their stuff, right? And so in a case like this, you would have, attorneys, vying to be able to be the first ones to provide information that other people may not have, maybe a strategy that is not being used at the moment. It's a big deal. Nolan Wells' family has called the DA's bluff. Straight up told him, pick a date. Things just got a whole lot more interesting. Oh yeah, because for weeks, Nolan's cell phone has been at the center of this back and forth between his family and Jackson County District Attorney's Office. Questions have been raised about why the phone hasn't been turned over. There have been suggestions that Nolan's family wasn't cooperating. And if you're just casually following this case, you might walk away thinking, why won't the family just give the investigators the damn phone? Well, now Nolan's family is essentially saying, here it is, pick a date and examine it. That changes the whole conversation. According to the family's legal team, they proposed that the forensic examination of Nolan's phone take place between Tuesday, August 18th and Friday, August 21st. They're asking the DA's office to choose the date. See, they can't wiggle out of that right now. They can't wiggle out of that one because if they just say, hey, okay, we're ready to do it, and they don't try to lock them into a specific timeline, a specific window, the DA just gonna pivot and say, hey, we're waiting on them. We're waiting on them. So I like the fact that the family also made this public, because this is what you have to do when you're dealing with uncivilized mutts. You have to expose them, and you got to let people know what's going on. You got to really have as much transparency as possible to get your message out there. Now, you don't want to tell too much. You want to tip your whole hand. You always want to have a wild card. You always want to be able to play a wild card. Anytime you're dealing with anybody, I like to keep at least 2 wild cards. You know, when I'm dealing with anything, any type of situation, I like to have at least 2 wild cards in reserve. Most of the time, I never get a chance to use them. But when I do, I usually knock it out the park. You dig what I'm saying? From what the family's attorneys have publicly described, this wouldn't be Nolan family's, sitting in somebody's basement deciding what investigators are allowed to see. They're proposing a joint forensic examination where experts can be present and the process can be documented. There's even been a discussion of the FBI being involved. So you know how that go when they come in. Yeah. We're talking serious business when the FBI come in. So they're going to go in there and they're going to look for data, any data that can connect Nolan's death to his killer or killers or co-conspirators, anybody that might have some knowledge. Perhaps Nolan texted somebody and said, hey, I'm scared. You know, like, hey, these dudes are tripping out. They coked up and doped up. Such and such, really mad at me. He threatened to take my life. Remember, fam, I put that letter out there today. I put the letter out there where somebody made a statement about Nolan having his life threatened. And I think they said Wyatt or Warren or one of them W's threatened his life. Said something to the effect of, what if something happened to you out here and nobody was able to reach you? So we're looking at potentially deleted information that forensic specialists may be able to recover. In fact, I'm pretty positive that they're able to recover that information because once you leave that digital footprint, it's there forever. And depending on what the data, what specific data exists, that phone could help investigators test portions of the timeline against objective digital evidence. That's important because memories can be wrong. People can disagree. People can misunderstand what they saw. And yes, people can lie. And boy, do people lie. Woo, they be lying. Don't matter what they look like, they can just lie. They can sit up there in that box like a nun. They can sit there like the boy next door, the girl next door, can be the most trustworthy looking person. They can have the most trustworthy job and lie like a rug. Data does not have a friendship to protect. Data ain't scared of nobody. Data ain't scared to go to jail. Data ain't scared to say something or show something that can get them in trouble, make people want to ostracize. Data doesn't care about anybody's reputation. If that phone contains useful information, let qualified experts examine it and determine what it actually shows. Here's why I think this is a smart move by Nolan's family. They've been taking the heat. People have been saying, if you want transparency, why aren't you giving up the phone? Now they're essentially saying, we're not hiding the phone. We want the examination done. We want safeguards around how it's handled and examined. That's very different from them saying you can't have it. And this is where I think the DA's office has a decision to make. If the proposed protocol is reasonable, schedule the examination. If it isn't reasonable, explain what needs to change so that it can be reasonable. But let's get the phone examined because everybody keeps telling us they want the same thing. Nolan's family says they want the truth. The DA says she wants a thorough investigation. Law enforcement says they're investigating. Okay, then this should be very easy. Pick Tuesday. Hey, man, ain't no use to putting off tomorrow what you can do today. Pick Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday don't work. Pick Wednesday. Wednesday don't work. Pick Thursday. Pick. Hell, pick Friday. Hell, flip a coin. But pick a date. That's all. No more talk.